Imagine being an ugly old woman, and then one of the top podcasters in the world says you're a man, and then everybody starts believing that you're a man. What a brutal reality. Look, man, I don't know a whole lot about. I understand there's the conspiracy theory about Bridget Macron. That's Emmanuel Macron's wife. Candace Owens has this absolutely insane story where she says Trump called her on the phone and was like, listen, you got to drop it. I'm trying to negotiate this thing. And apparently her story is that Bridget Macron is pissed over her ongoing series about Bridget Macron being a man. And Emmanuel Macron is holding up peace deals, peace talks, because they want to use it as leverage to get Candace to stop, which is just, it's the most insane thing I've ever heard. But the crazy thing is, Candace Owens isn't going to make this up. Look, man, I know people have their criticisms of Candace Owens. I'll be completely honest and tell you my view. I think her political commentary, I can say this. I don't completely agree with her on the Israel stuff. I don't follow everything she's saying, so I don't want to impugn her on her in any way. But when I met her, went on her show, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm a big fan. I do think there's grounds to be critical of Candace, but knowing her and the work that she's done, and again, with all the criticism, she's not making this up. Like, where I am and the people that I talk to, I know that if I were to come out and make a claim that Trump called me, I'm going to have people being like, never happened. There's no way. Now, maybe they'll come out and deny this. I don't know, but I think she's telling the truth, okay? That Trump called her and had a talk with her. She got one of the biggest podcasts in the world. Okay, so this does have an impact. What did they do? Like, Bridget Macron's like, Emmanuel, call Trump and ask him to do something about this. And then Trump's like, I can try and ask a favor. Isn't that crazy? Look, man, in my wildest dreams, I never would have believed this was the reality that we'd get. Here's the story. Candace Owens claimed that she received a personal phone call from President Trump on behalf of Emmanuel Macron, urging her to stop pushing the wild conspiracy theory that Bridget Macron, his wife, was born a man. I mean, look, I don't know anything about the Bridget Macron stuff. From, this is last year, about a year, just shy of a year ago. 2 women guilty of slandering Bridget Macron. 2 Frenchmen falsely claimed the country's first lady, Bridget Macron, was transgender, have been found guilty of slander. Now, Natasha Ray and Amandine Roy broadcast unsubstantiated rumors online that Bridget had never existed and that her brother Jean-Michel Trogneau had changed gender and started using that name. The defendants were reported to pay €8,000 in damages to Miss Macron and $5,000 to her brother. I mean, that's the funny thing. Like, her brother exists, apparently. Now, look, man, I'm just going to, it's just something about it just feels so brutal that, like, you're an old, ugly woman, and then you're sitting there just minding your own business. Someone's like, that's a man. And you're like, what? It's funny. It's because, like, women try so hard to look good. And it's a big social component. I'm not trying to drag women for this. Not at all. Women work really, really hard on their appearance. Some do a little too far with it. But many women, they try to look good. They dress up. They take the time to get their appearance right and appear, symmetrical and clean. And so women don't like getting old. That's why plastic surgery is largely a thing among women. Men get plastic surgery too, but women are always, doing stuff about their appearance. So imagine you're aging and you know it and there's nothing you can do about it. And people think you're ugly. And then all of a sudden, the biggest podcaster, one of the biggest podcasts in the world, says you're a guy. Anyway, she said, this phone call is coming from Florida. I pick up the phone, and lo and behold, impression of Trump. So here's what happened. I'm negotiating this thing. I'm negotiating Ukraine and Russia. And wouldn't you believe how many parts of it's President Donald J. Trump? He's calling me. And in true President Trump fashion, he jumps right into the narrative. He's not, hey, how do you do? He jumps right into the narrative exactly how this went down. I am literally, it's hard to catch my breath to comprehend that 4 days ago, I'm literally ending a series about Bridget Macron, and I'm speaking to the President of the United States, and the topic of conversation is about Macron's wife's penis. Okay, the one thing I want to say is, could it have been a prank phone call? Like, I don't think Candace is making this up. I think she got the phone call. But there are people, they do this all the time, they spoof phone numbers and they use AI voice generators. And so with her pointing out that Trump immediately jumped to the narrative. Sounds like someone may have AI spoofed the call and tricked her. Either way, she's going to get 1 billion views by telling the story. So Trump, Owens said, launched into a monologue describing all the moving parts of negotiating a Ukraine-Russia peace deal he was trying to piece together when he brought up the French president. Trump allegedly recounted Macron pulling him aside during his visit to the White House, surrounded by Secret Service, to ask the request, blah, blah, blah. Here's my prediction. My prediction is somebody AI spoofed Trump and then spoofed Trump's phone number and called Candace Owens. I think that's what happened. That's just me. I'm recording this video on the 1st, just, in the event that it ends up coming out sometime later. I usually record extra segments earlier in the week to space out for the weekend so we can have content up on the weekend, especially with the 4th of July. So this is Friday, obviously. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that she got AI spoofed and fell for it. They sound real. But when she says that Trump immediately went to the narrative, yeah, man, I've had people spoof me before. And again, I've mentioned this. I don't answer my phone. I don't have a phone. There's a number that exists. There's like 15 phone numbers for the company, and the company owns everything. And I don't ever answer my phone. The phone is just, it's another computer. I don't own a computer. I don't own a laptop, and I don't own a phone. No joke. No joke. They're all company devices. The computer I use every day, company device. Video games, company device. People who work here, they use all this stuff. And the reason largely is several years ago, like 7 or 8 years ago, I had people trying to steal my devices. And I just because they're psychos, they're nuts. And I got a prank phone call. This is like probably 5 years ago from Ben Shapiro. My phone rang. It was Ben's number. I know Ben. I answered it. And exactly similarly to this, instead of saying like, Tim, hey, how's it going, man? I was trying to give you a call because blah, blah, blah. How you doing? It immediately went, hey, Tim, Ben Shapiro here. Anyway, I want to ask you a question. And I was like, hung up instantly. I'm like, nope. And then, of course, I called Ben and said, hey, man, someone's got your phone number. They're spoofing it, meaning they're using a service where they will input Ben's phone number. So my phone rings with Ben's number. Since then, I am isolated in every possible way. I don't have my email. I don't have an email address, no computer. I have people handle all of it for me to avoid these things, explicitly stating, do not answer this phone. That's it. The phone there's never going to be answered, no matter what the name is. It could say mom or dad. It's not getting answered. And so that's why I find this interesting. When she says I get a call from a Florida number, I'm like, I don't answer the phone for literally any number anymore. I've got people that do all of that stuff. It's no joke because people are trying to listen. When you get death threats and stuff like this, I can't speak to Candace. She can do whatever she wants. But people will try to get information, as minimal as it may be, it can be used as a threat against you. So I'll explain this. We get swatted, we get death threats, and the death threats will say stupid things, and we're like, that's not real. But one time we got a threat, and our security company said, Tim, they said this thing. I'm not going to say what it was. Is that true? And I said, yes, that's correct. And they went, okay. Everyone out of the building, we're evacuation, we have a credible threat, and these things happen. So we try to explain to people, loose lips sink ships. You may not think it matters, but if you work at this company and you go and say something as innocuous as a bunch of, we got a bunch of deliveries of this new energy drink, it's called Omega Energy Special, blah, 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 97. You might think, who cares? Then all of a sudden, someone sends in a threat to the police saying, I recently placed a weapon or a bomb in Omega Special 97 energy drink and delivered it to, the Timcast studios. And then we're going to ask, did you recently order this shipment? It's been compromised. That's it. And we're like, how? And they say, we don't know how these people know this information, so we can only assume there's a possibility it's a legit threat. That's why you cannot let that information out. That being said, listen to this. I said to Trump, I'll be honest that at the moment I realized that one day this is going to be in my autobiography and I got to say something funny. So I said, respectfully, Mr. President, it's not my fault that he married someone with a penis. Trump, however, reportedly insisted Macron had been really good to him, but he wanted to get this one thing done, saying, Melania loves you, says you're beautiful. She then said that she agreed to a short-term pause out of concern for potential fallout, saying, this is not a long-term for me. He was about to commit to that, but then it felt to me like someone in the background was like, no. We need this conversation to stop altogether. And then doesn't say no or yes, but he just says he really wants to work with Macron long-term, and they have this long-term relationship. Sounds like a spoof phone call. Again, not directly addressing what she says. She either would have said yes or no, but instead she agrees. And then the response from Trump, she said it felt like someone was in the background. Yeah, because it's a spoof phone call. She continued, so Trumpian to give yourself a compliment. So I gave him the Trump right back. So respectfully, Mr. President, I'm apparently good for ratings too, because you got a leader of a country asking you to do you a favor. Then we end the conversation, and I am just reeling. After explaining that Trump did not specifically say that her conspiracy theorizing had caused such geopolitical disruption, derailing commitment, blah, blah, blah. Like Macron's holding this up a contingency here, or whether or not he's going to agree to this sort of international deals, whether or not Candace Owens stops speaking about this wife. Spoof phone call. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point a guy releases the audio recording of him and his buddies and they spoofed Candace Owens. Or maybe she's right. I don't know. What do I know? This is my thoughts. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll leave it there. Stay tuned. Smash the like button. Share the show. More to come. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all in the next segment.